Are we live?
Yeah, we're happening, man.
Are we happening?
Oh, yeah. You know what? You got to go to edit now.
Uh-huh.
See the little pencil up there? Top left?
Yeah.
Yeah. Then click on the Bros Facebook, top left. Nope. All the way left.
Yeah.
That one. Go to the bottom. All the way. All the way down. All the way down. Save changes.
And now we're live on everything.
We're live everywhere, baby.
Oh, not yet.
Yep.
Oh, snap-a-doodle.
Okay, I'm going to go fix my screen too so we can see the comments there.
Okay.
Hit the tunes, baby.
Folks, friends, dearly beloved, we are gathered here today for Karate in the Garage with Dave and Joe from the Brothers Landreth. It's February 27th, 2021. And, I'm just going to get this microphone in my face. We've been trying not to have mics in our faces, but it just needs to happen. It just needs to happen. I'm sorry if this is really loud in your ears. Taekwon Doug. I like that. Sorry, Doug. To all the Dougs in the world, I'm sorry we're picking on you. To Doug Aldrich.
Don't know who that is.
He's a guitar player, I think.
Cool.
Yeah, man. So yeah, here we are.
Happy Saturday.
Yesterday was my date-iversary with my wife.
Yes,
It was our 8th date-iversary.
8th date anniversary. Amazing.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thanks. Pretty excited about it. And it's marking the end of February.
It's also interesting because you started dating your now wife, your then girlfriend, 8 years ago. We were in the studio working on our first record at the time.
That's right.
We were at Signbus.
Stereo Post.
No, we were at Signpost.
We were at Signpost Music.
Which we will segue into later because that's relevant for next week's episode. But we were at Signpost working on Let It Lie, doing overdubs, and you were excited about this girl that you'd met, and you were trying to work up the courage to ask her out on a date.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And you did, and me and Murray needled you pretty hard about it.
Listen, I had nothing to do with it. Anna came up to me at the Cavern. I was there watching come on, who was the other our buddies, the other band who played on Tuesdays? The Solutions. Yep. We were watching the Solutions.
Do me a favor, make that window big.
Which window?
The one there, yeah.
This one?
Get rid of VLC. Yeah, make that thing big.
All the way big?
All the way, thanks.
All right.
Look at
You don't want to see Instagram?
No. Or you see it over there.
Okay. Anyways,
you're watching.
We were watching I was watching the Solutions. I was there alone, and this really cute girl came up to me and said, "I like your band, and I like your voice.
Yeah,
and it reminds me of Gary Clark Jr." Which I later discovered she confessed she did not think that my voice sounded like Gary Clark Jr., but she just knew that I would know who Gary Clark Jr. was and just wanted to seem cool.
And which is awesome. What did you say?
I was like, "Oh man, that's awesome! Thank you."
Oh man, that's awesome! Thank you.
For the folks at home listening to the podcast, Dave is frantically shaking the Philip doll that I was gifted to from Brad Jackson, who has a floppy little head, and it sounds like this. We're in the process of trying to take these Karate in the Garages and make them into a podcast. And Anna had pointed out, if you're doing a podcast and you shake those stupid Terrence and Philip dolls in front of the microphones, the podcast people don't know what you're doing, and it just sounds like.
Thanks for the audio description.
So, and that was me making a noise with my finger and my lips. So anyway, yeah. So she came up to me and said, "I like your band," and then I completely panicked because I was just recently gotten out of a relationship like 3-4 months before, and I'd sort of vowed off of love forever. And this really cute girl came to talk to me, and I was like, I don't know what to do about this. And so we went to the studio the next day, and I was like, guys, you'll never believe it. A really cute girl talked to me at the bar last night. And Murray was like, "What'd you do?" And I was like, I panicked and I blew her off. I totally was like, "Cool, thanks." And then looked the other way, and she was like, "Okay, see ya." And then I remember thinking, like, I wasn't sure, but I think maybe she was hitting on me, maybe, or at the very least, maybe she's interested.
Yeah.
And Murray was like, "Yeah, man. Like, she came up to you. She doesn't know you at the bar. She came up to you and she complimented you." That's what humans do, man. And I was like, oh, I get it.
Yeah, you were being a little dense about the whole thing.
Super dense. And so then I she was mutual friends with now our very dear friend Kyle Cobb. And so I I went on Kyle. I knew her name was Anna. I didn't know her last name, but I knew she was friends with Kyle. So I went on Kyle Cobb's Facebook page and looked through all of his friends and just tried to find the right Anna. And then I found her, and then I sent a message, posted a video of a Gary Clark Jr. song that she had referenced, and I knew that this is the one she was talking about. But I said, "Is this the one you're talking about?" And she's like, "Yeah." And then the next time I saw her, she said, why don't we get together and listen to music sometime? And then our first date was I brought her to the studio where we were working at Signpost, Dave Zaglinski and Steve Bell studio. And I said, guys, is it okay if I bring a girl here tonight to listen to music on the stereo? And Dave was like, yes, absolutely. But if you want it to pro tip, if you want it to go well, turn on all the outboard gear and make it look like you know what you're doing. And I was like, sweet. So they have these racks that are mounted up on the wall that are mostly empty, that just have like a CD player and a tape player. But then they have like dozens of other rack spaces that are filled with these rack units that are designed just to fill rack spaces that make it look really like it's funny rack gear, but it's not. So there's like a thing called the palindrometer, where there's a knob that just is like solos and race car, like all words that are palindromes. So anyways, but you can turn them on, and they have lights behind the VU meters, which are the little dials for anybody who doesn't know. So anyways, Anna and I get to the studio, and I'm like, sorry, I got to fire up the rig. Turned everything out. I even, John Hughes says, Facebook stalker. Nice. I mean, when you put it like that, I'm ashamed. But so anyways, I turn on all the gear.
I love your movies, John.
Howard Hughes? No. I even turned on the tape machine, which obviously we were recording to Pro Tools. We were not recording to tape. Did not need to turn the tape machine on.
Yeah,
but I did.
Not. But I did everything up. It looks like Christmas in there when you fire all the lights up. It
seems really super impressive. Very cool. And really, all I did was open up 2 channels in Pro Tools and plug a cable into the headphone jack of our iPod. But she didn't know that, and I'm sorry that I duped you. But it worked, and we listened to music, and I basically was like trying not to fall in love, and I fell in love with her instantly.
Yeah. Ha ha ha. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. And here you are, 8 years later. You're married. You got a baby on the way.
Wild.
Yeah, and a baby in 2 weeks. Like we're now on,
or sooner.
We're now on high alert.
Yeah.
Yeah, like baby could happen
anytime. Literally anytime she goes, oh, I'm like, is it time?
You're reaching for the bug out bag.
Yeah.
Did you pack your snacks?
Only the half a granola bar that you gave me yesterday.
It's no joke, man.
Don't mess around when it comes to the snacks.
Yeah, truly.
Snack attack. Jason Milani says sounds like a song. Yeah, there's quite a few songs.
Yeah, she's
take my hands if you need some hands. That's about her.
For her.
Yeah,
we have written love songs for our partners.
Bunch of softies. Man, this is great. We're every week we're stepping up the production. So last week we got a second SM7, so that Dave, that's the one. This week I dug my external monitor out of the crawl space upstairs.
That I don't have to sit here looking at the laptop.
So and then when we're reading the questions, we're at least looking in the right direction of the camera. I didn't do anything about my footwear.
Yeah. No, that's kind of great. I think the vibe is like business casual.
This is not business casual. This is casual.
This is pandemic business casual.
This is one step above wearing sweats on a plane, which I'm not here for.
Why not?
Because
don't be a snob.
Listen, you're a grown person. You're in public. Wear pants that I can't see your privates in. You know what I mean?
What kind of sweatpants are you wearing?
Well,
what kind of privates are you carrying around that are flashing? I don't understand. I don't like the direction of this conversation at all.
It's just when I see somebody in sweats on an airplane, I'm like, I get it. You're comfortable. I guarantee you do not spend more time on an airplane than I do, and you can wear pants because I wear normal pants. Just wear pants on a plane.
But, sweatpants. They have.
Why are you fighting for this? You don't wear sweats on a plane.
I don't.
You don't.
But the word sweatpants has the word pants in it. You just said like, you're being a snob. You're being an air snob. It's not 1950s.
I just like I'm resentful. Let's not get into this. It doesn't matter. Who cares? Who cares? Yeah. Wear pants on a plane, people.
Jeez. Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to backtrack a little bit because We have a guest coming next week.
Yeah.
Somebody I'm super, super, super excited to talk to.
Yeah.
And I thought it might be fun to talk about mentors and the role that they play creatively in a business, in a general sense. Everybody's weighing in. The comments are coming in. People are weighing in about the pants. You can just click on it if you want to show up.
Nice.
Yeah.
Andrew Plasman says, let's not blame the pants. It's the underwear that's the real issue here.
Yeah.
I you know what? I'm just trying not to be vulgar, but I just find that there's just like, it's a level of comfortability that makes sense at home. It's just like when you're at an airport with like literally thousands of other people, it's just like, I don't want to be subjected to your comfort.
I want people to weigh in.
Here's what it comes down to is I'm not comfortable enough with myself to wear sweats in an airplane.
Don't make
airport.
Everybody else's problem. That's what I'm saying.
I agree. Although Marie Laurie says, I agree. Wear pants. Never wear sweats in public.
Well, we know which side you fall on.
Thanks, Marie.
Marie, Team Joe, Team Dave. I say wear sweatpants wherever you like.
Brent Tom says, Dave is just playing devil's advocate. I agree. I think that Dave totally agrees with me. He's just big brothering me right now. Okay, but I would love to talk about.
Can you go up a pinch? Mm-hmm. There's a question about vinyl. I want to address that because John's asked us in the past. Up one. Thank you, John Peterson. Click on it. Yeah, John. Thank you for asking about the Let It Live vinyl. You actually, I don't know if you can see it off to. Oh, you can't. Oh, maybe you can. It's down to Joey's right. It's literally right there. I need to ship it to our web store. Once I get a chance to ship these boxes, we're gonna sign them.
Hey, this is vinyl ASMR.
That is the YouTube video that nobody asked for.
This is what cardboard sounds like. Hey, should we sign these while we're talking?
Yeah, you want to do that?
Maybe it'll be too crinkly.
It'll be crinkly, but I like the spirit. Anyways, John, those are literally the vinyl that I need to ship. I'm going to ship them to our web store, and then you'll be able to get your hands on them. And then, Joe, do you want to zoom down so we can see the comments coming in?
Yeah.
Bless your heart. Okay, so pardon me.
Pajama pants at the mall? No, we don't do that.
Natalie, you can also. Natalie says, I want one. You can have one. Okay, so back to what we're chatting about. Talking about mentors, because next week we're going to have one of our very dear friends and mentors. Mm-hmm. We're going to chat with. We're going to do an interview with. We're going to have a conversation with. Yeah. So I thought it'd be fun to kind of jump off on that because I don't know where I'd be without some of the mentors that I've had in my life.
Yeah.
And they come in strange. They show up in your life in strange ways. I think if I'm thinking back on it, some of the people that have like impacted me the way that like I look up to them, I admire them, I aspire to be like them in certain ways. I think, or I'm inspired by some of the things.
Yeah.
That they do. So like if I just threw you the question, Joe, who are some of your mentors? What are some of the names that who are some people that come to mind? Well, anywhere.
Yeah. I mean, man, you are one of my mentors.
Oh, heavy.
I mean, I think it's true. I'm just saying it to make you feel good.
I feel great. Mission accomplished.
Steve definitely is one. I mean, there's a long list of people who have played certain roles in those ways. I mean, like the most obvious and direct one in our career is definitely Steve. Steve has been a champion for, I mean, when I first started playing with Steve in 2000 and
for context, we're talking about Steve Bell, who's going to be our guest next week.
He's our special guest next week.
I don't want to talk too much about Steve because I think we'll have him in and we'll talk his ear off. But yeah, go ahead.
I started playing with Steve back in 2009, I think, and he invited me to play on a recording that was being made specifically for CBC. And so, me and Christian Dugas and Meg Dolovich, dear pal Meg, played on that recording. And then that's kind of how I'd known Steve for a long time before that, but that's how we sort of connected creatively. And then he ended up hiring me to play on a bunch of his records and then play in his band. And then we had this thing called the Steve Bell Trio, which was me and Steve and Murray Pulver. And he was the first person to hear any of my music. And I had a demo I had written 2 songs that were called Our Love and Firecracker. And I played him the demo recordings that I'd made of both those songs. And he just said, man, you got to do this. You got to do that. And I was like, really? Like, how do I do that? He's like, I don't know. You just have to do it. And I said, I'm just worried I'm worried that people won't like it, and people like it's not the right time. And he was just like, just do it. Just make this music. And then sort of very famously well, not famously, but very, very heavy for us is we were kind of having a bit of an identity crisis with Let It Lie. And he gave us the advice, just don't worry about anything else other than making music that means something to you. And then the hard part is going out into the world and finding the people that it means something to. So in other words, don't make music for the masses, make music for yourself, and then try to find people who are like-minded. And that's what we did. And that's kind of where we're at. That's a Cole's Notes version of that. We'll dig into more stuff with Steve and talk about his history and stuff. But he's been a big mentor for us.
Yeah.
I mean, you are a mentor to me. I mean, in so many ways, obviously being my big brother, there's just stuff that you innately learn from your older sibling. I think you just sort of watch them do their thing a couple of years ahead of you. And, you either go, oh, I love the way you did that, I want to do that. Or you go, man, I'm never going to do it like that. No way. So there's things like that. But I think, primarily, well, all the sort of things that we've walked through in life, we've done together. And when I started making music without you, when we took our break, you were, even despite the fact that you were kind of in shambles, you still helped me every step of the way. And you helped me make choices of how to handle my business and how to start my business and what to do with like kind of the more business oriented things. You gave me a lot of feedback. You gave me a lot of great advice. You gave me so many great spreadsheets.
I did.
So
I bestowed on you my collection.
Yeah. And
my legacy, if you will.
I learned to run my business from you. So I mean, and that almost feels like, compared to the real shit that I've learned from you, that stuff just feels like pebbles, but it's massive. Yeah. Like I feel like I have a successful business because of the things that I learned from you when we took our break from the bros, and I had to start, because for those who don't know, Dave is also the business mind behind the Brothers Landreth, and very much sort of runs this show. And when I went solo,
that also, but with like our manager Stu is the big cheese.
Yeah.
I'm the sub big cheese,
absolutely.
But he's the big cheese.
Yeah. But I mean, before we had a manager,
sure.
You did all those things. You put all that stuff in place, and you were the one with the business vision for everything. And so when I went solo, I was kind of like a fish out of water. I was just artist guy. All I knew how to do was like write songs about my feelings and then sing them. And so I had to learn a lot. I had to sort of crash course on how to do a lot of that stuff. But some say it's all about guitars, amps, and pedals, but it's really about the spreadsheets. You have no idea how true that is.
Comment from Joe Brennan.
Our pal Joe.
Oh, if you click on that too, also, because we have the comment pinned about asking about the records.
Oh,
just not topical anymore.
Sorry, I'm doing your job.
Joey's driving the ship, which I'm glad to have you do today.
Nice. Okay, well,
now you can.
Thanks, Joe. Oh, Daryl Haver's in the house. Dave is the best road manager. Truth.
I do love tour managing, and we've talked about how in the future that's probably a role that I'm going to give up, so that I can be a little more present when we're on the road, because it does take a lot of brain space and be nice. But I'll be both excited and sad to no longer tour manage on the road, because I really enjoy the job. But
it's a fun gig.
We'll be happy to let somebody else do it.
Hell yeah!
I've done it for a number of years for a number of different bands.
Yeah. And you know what? When we came back to doing bro stuff, it was probably one of the hardest things for me.
Yes, it was. It was really tough.
Yeah. To just be like,
you got there though. Like, it took a minute. It took a minute.
It didn't take as long as I thought it was going to take, but it was just like, I think actually the hardest thing was probably just like chilling.
Yes. Yeah. You had a hard time with that, and you had a hard time, or I shouldn't say we had a hard time sort of finding our roles again.
Yeah.
Because you were accustomed to doing everything. Yeah. And now you had also learned different ways of doing things that were coming. We sorted through it pretty quickly. It didn't take.
Yeah. It wasn't like weeks and weeks. It was like maybe days and days, but
days and days. I want to go back to mentors a little bit, because we both have, we've started our families now. Yours is literally could be any time between now and 3 weeks from here, is about to explode into 3 people. But as parents, like we have this really important responsibility to raise our children however you choose to. But you're only going to be able to cover so much for those people, these little people that we're bringing into the world. There's only so many things that we're going to be able to teach them. There are things that they cannot learn from us, don't want to learn from us. We don't have the answers to everything. So like, I think about some of these mentors in my life, and as I sit here thinking about them, it's interesting, some of the names that are popping into my head, because they're probably not the ones you'd think. But these people have been so instrumental in like filling that gap by giving the perspective that, because you do, as a young kid, you get everything from your parents. You learn your temperament, you learn your like every single thing, from like how to tie in your shoelaces to how to deal with grief. You learn from your parents, but there's all this other stuff that comes along with it. And I just hope that my kid, maybe someday kids, will have some of these important, and early on they're trusted adults, right? Yeah. They're or maybe they're friends, maybe they're even friends, like who's to say? A mentor doesn't have to be somebody who's older than you, but typically is somebody who's got some more experience in something that you're curious about learning about, need to learn about. But I hope that my kid is lucky enough to have some of the people that I've had in my life. Not the same ones. We'll have some of the same ones, but we'll have their own version, right?
So do you want to dish who some of these people are?
Yeah. Well, so, these names just sort of start popping into my head. But one person that I really looked up to and admired and learned so much from was a guy named Stephen Carroll. Oh, yeah. He was the manager of a band that I was playing in. He managed a band called Imaginary Cities, and I played with them for 2 or 3 years.
He's also the guitar player for a band.
Famously is the guitar player for the Weaker Thans, which is a band out of Winnipeg, who was really had a heavy run in the 90s and early 2000s. Yeah. And have not fully disbanded, but aren't working, like aren't active. Yeah. Stephen now has a really great gig running a provincial music funding body. Yeah. But anyways, regardless, like this was a guy that I worked for effectively. But I learned so much from just in watching the way that he made decisions and handled things, and the way he organized stuff, and the way he spoke to people. And a lot of the way I approach the bros came from that, from learning, watching him. And, and in a couple of different times in my life, like we always had a pretty like formal relationship. He's a very professional dude. He's funny and kind and everything, but there was always like, it was clear I worked for him. Yeah. But there was a couple of times in my life where he'd sat me down as a pal and given me the straight goods on a couple of different things that I was screwing up on or needed some of that sort of like, okay, I'm going to give you
some tough love.
And those moments endeared me to him so heavily because I just brute honesty. What's going on with your microphone there, brother?
I just think maybe one of these, like the high pass filter is on.
Is it possible? You sound good.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, you sound
I won't worry about it.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
Yeah, that's interesting. Interesting.
That was one. Another one is Gaz.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Our buddy Gary Black is somebody that I think of like, he's I think he's my dad's age.
Yeah, he's around dad's age.
Yeah, he's around dad's age. But he, has always kind of felt like a pal. Yeah. But he, is like definitely got some years on us. But it's just a guy that like has had a lot of like wisdom, and I don't know if he's ever meant to, if that's ever been intentional. But it's just like when he talks, I really listen. Yeah. And he's said some things that have like really just stuck with me over the years, And then like I think about these guys, like they have helped guide me along, whether they realize it or not. And that's something I'm really excited about to talk about with Steve. Is like, do you recognize your role as a mentor here, or are you just? It'd
be funny if he's like, oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, he might. Yeah. And Steve's a very deliberate guy. It's entirely possible. Yeah. Like everybody, you are. I seriously, I think we have the kindest fans, friends, and family in the world. You guys are so supportive. It's like all the comments, like Joe, your mic's great. It's cool. Keep on. It's just, you're so affirming, so kind. Do you want to
Thanks,
back
folks.
up and see what some of these
Yeah, absolutely.
comments are? I mean,
There's
just
one
waxing about this stuff.
that's make me laugh. Marie Lowry says, I hope I'm saying that right.
Yeah.
Modesty, Stan. Leave a little something to the imagination. What, you don't want to know about our spreadsheets?
I think it's a throwback to your sweatpant comment.
That
Yeah.
makes sense. Yeah, exactly. Stan. Okay. Stan, put some normal pants on, Stan. I'm developing characters in my head.
Okay.
We've got Doug, who's like, Doug is like the negative commenter. It's like, keep your thoughts to yourself. You can't say anything nice, Doug. Keep it to yourself, Doug.
Okay, Doug's the internet troll.
Doug is the internet
Stan's
troll.
the guy who wears sweatpants in airports.
Stan is sweatpants in airports.
Okay, good.
Our pal Jen Dirksen says, shout out Stephen Carroll. Hell yes. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So who are some other mentors?
I'm glad you mentioned Gaz, because Gaz is definitely one of them. You know, and just like, I feel like over the years.
Oh, you know, can I interject?
Sure.
Sorry, it's just because it's on the tip of my tongue, and I'm going to forget if I don't. I think one of the things that I've taken from Gaz. So Gaz's story is really interesting. Gaz is a ninja. How appropriate for Karate in the Garage.
We should have Gaz on the show.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah.
We'll ask him about that. Gaz is a he's a martial artist.
Yep.
He teaches self-defense class, has taught self-defense class. He does a ton of different things. He does a lot of advocacy.
A lot of advocacy. Yeah.
He's a really interesting guy, really intelligent. But when we got to know him, because he was teaching self-defense classes.
Mm-hmm.
And so we went and sat in on these classes in Vimy Ridge Park.
Yeah.
And we'd learn how to like do self-defense. We were learning karate. It was awesome. But I think the thing that I learned from him was that the lesson that I took away was, when you're going through hard stuff, one of the things that you can do is be strong. Like, focus on being strong, being whole. And his was always about like work out, eat well, treat your body well,
mm-hmm.
develop these skills. But the thing that I took from it was not like actually like I need to pump iron so that I can get through hard times in my life. But like, when things are tough, take care of yourself so that you can be the most whole, which will allow you to be the most effective at facing really difficult problems. Because
mm-hmm.
when shit gets tough, my first tendency is to sleep through it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, okay, life's getting tough. I'm going to start eating lousy. I'm going to start staying up too late. I'm going to start sleeping in too late. I'm going to start closing off and walling it. And you just sort of like, dig into yourself. But what I learned from him was lean into it, pump the iron, do the work, stay sharp, so that you're in, it's not going to be easier to face your hard issues, but you're going to have more capacity for it, more bandwidth because you're healthy.
Yeah. Vulnerability, you know, leaning into that, leaning into sharing with your community. That was something I always noticed about Gaz, was like, and always surprised me, is, you know, he's super ripped. He's super strong. The dude has a buggered up hip from being in a motorcycle accident and can still high kick me in the face.
Sure.
If he wants to. But is also not afraid to cry and not afraid to share where he's at. And it's not necessarily like crying because he's sad, you know, like he's just a really honest dude. And I remember the first time like having an experience like that with him and just being like, I was not expecting this, and I'm taking note to share. Anyway. Yeah. Learn a lot from Gaz. Yeah. He's such a good man.
What about you? Who are some other what about like going younger? Like, think about young Joe.
Oh man.
Who are some of the people that you leaned on as like a teenager?
Phil Coram.
Your music teacher.
Yeah.
Your high school or
high school. Stacy Natras, now Stacy Brown. These were people who were like, really,
so they were teachers and mentors.
They were teachers and mentors. They were very, very, very paramount in my development as a musician.
Yeah.
John Luke Ricchetti, who's since passed away, actually. And those were people who, when I was like in middle school and early high school, really took interest in what I was doing musically and just pushed me. You know, Phil never Phil was never excited, or rather, like, this is going to sound mean, but it's not. He was never like, he never blew smoke up my ass.
Yeah.
and I think, you know, he had a lot of experience as a teacher. He was a teacher for a long time before I was in his class. So I think he knew, like, okay, yeah, you're showing promise. He knew to challenge me. So it was always like, oh, nice. You learned to play that part. Here's something more challenging. Check out this record. There was not a lot of back padding. And I actually really loved that. I loved being challenged, and there was a really healthy amount of competitiveness that I had, not with him, but just with myself, that I think he helped foster, which was like, great. I remember there's this song called Mira Mira, Mira, and it was like a big band chart, and it had this really big soli within the rhythm section. It was like these crazy cascading pentatonic parts. I was not a good reader, and he put the sheet music in front of us one day, in front of the band, and said, okay, this has got this big rhythm section moment. Are you guys ready? And I looked at it and was like, yeah. And then just shit the bed. We just like started
I love that idiom, by the way.
It's a good
it's like the visual of it too is just like, and
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but just like, and then he came to me after class and was like, so you'll have that for next rehearsal? I was like, yes, I will. And I did, you know, because I knew that if I didn't, you know, it would disappoint him, and I didn't want to disappoint him. So, you know, and Stacy was the same way. She I think, like, you know, I was in all the music classes, so I had a relationship with these people. But she was always pushing me to be a better singer, be a better ensemble singer, like, and gave lots and lots of great opportunities to kind of figure myself out as a singer. And then also, like, you know, fast forward a handful of years, like when I moved back to Winnipeg, I was struggling with my voice, and I went back to see her and found my voice again. And so, yeah, those people, like, musically speaking, were really, I mean, obviously, like, relationship wise too, but they were very, very important to my development as a musician.
Yeah.
So I would definitely put those folks on that list as well.
I had two that popped into my head, musical ones as well. Either Bruce Jacobs.
Bruce Jacobs. Yeah.
Was one. And Jason Nowicki, who we've spoken about in the past.
Yeah.
Was another one of my was a mentor in a funny way. Not in a funny way. It doesn't, that belittles it, but like well, I'll talk about both of them maybe for a pinch.
Sure.
Yeah, but Jake was like my first bass teacher. And I went to him when I was 19 to take a lesson because I bought a bass from him. But I was really intrigued by sort of what he was talking about. And I knew that he did lessons. So I called him and said, hey, could I come by for a lesson? And I maybe took 4 lessons with the guy over the, you know, I've known him for 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
No, I've known him for 15 years. But he, in that little chunk of time, he hit me with so much heavy knowledge about music. He challenged the way I thought about music in such a fundamental way that it has left a mark. I think about it all the time. And I don't know that he realizes that. And he also, so Bruce is this guy. He's an East Coast bass player, played with the Rankins. He's a monster musician,
mm-hmm.
and a great luthier, just a nice guy, just a dude. But he was somebody that I just grew to respect an awful lot, and taught me a lot about music and the bass specifically. Taught me about the instrument,
mm-hmm.
like my relationship to the instrument, my relationship to groove. Because at the time I came in and I just wanted to play Jacko stuff.
Yeah.
And he helped me learn Portrait of Tracy, which was a trip.
Mm-hmm.
But he also hit me to like, what you can do as a bass player, how bass players are kind of like drummers with strings, you know? But he was one of the people that, there was a couple of moments in my alcoholism where people held up a mirror to me that was really uncomfortable.
Yeah.
That I did not like.
Mm-hmm.
And one moment stuck out to me, and that was we were doing a Manitoba homecoming show at the concert hall. So a big deal, like probably 15, maybe 20 artists are hanging out all day at the concert hall, which is a giant theater here in Winnipeg.
2,500 seats kind of thing.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, big room.
Big room. And it's a big deal. It's really fun. it's all your friends are playing, all the local artists at the time. This was like early mid 2000s.
Mhm.
And I was partying really, really hard at the time, and I spent all day. We were, you know, it was an early call, so we were there in the morning setting up, and there was like sound checks, and then there was some like, you know, it was just a huge production. We were there all day, and I got there and I started drinking the moment I got there.
Mhm.
And I was drunk from the night before when I got there, and just continued to party,
Yeah.
doing drugs and drinking
Yeah.
all day.
Yeah.
And and we were sort of satelliting out of this band van that was parked behind the concert hall.
Oh yeah.
And so it was like a big puff of smoke when you left the van, and we were up to no good. We were partying. We were day partying. We should have been working, but we were partying.
Yeah.
It was not. It was, you know, it was a big production. The province paid a lot of money to put this on. A lot of people were invested, and we were making a mockery of it. But I didn't realize that at the time. I was just doing my thing, man.
Yeah.
And Jake caught me on the way. So back and forth between the hall and the van, which were sort of like a block apart. I'd been making this trek all day, going into the theater for whatever I needed, and then going back to drink and party. And he caught me sort of midway and was just like, "Dave, what are you doing? Don't go back there, man. Like, don't be an idiot." He didn't say that. He didn't say don't be an idiot, but I think he said, "What are you doing? Like, don't go back to that van." And I did. But it was just the right moment at the right time from the right person. And he held up that mirror, and I can still feel it. Like, makes my skin crawl.
Mhm.
And it was so impactful because he just caught me, right? Like, I was having fun. I wasn't thinking about it. And then suddenly this person I really respect is like,
This is
look in the
what
mirror,
it looks
bud.
like. And
it hurt like
and we
hell.
see it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I had a moment like that actually with Marty Thiessen at the Cavern. And it was that moment for me. It was the beginning of the end for me before I got sober. And it was the same thing. I went outside to have a cigarette, and I was trashed as we were at that gig. And I was a little bit low, and I think I shared with him like, yeah, I'm having a bit of a tough time. And, you know, at that time we were still sneaking our drinks out onto the patio.
Right.
And I had a beer, and I think I chugged it, or maybe I had a shot and I chugged it or whatever. And he just said, "Do you think that that's helping?" and I was just like, or something like that. I can't remember exactly how he said it, but it was the first time that I realized that what I was doing to myself was visible to other people. And it was so embarrassing, because it's like when you're in the middle of those cycles, you're just like, I'm tricking it's like if I drink vodka, people can't smell it. I got news for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You smell like a still.
It's not invisible. That's not true. I can anyway. But you know, and you live under this impression that like, if I can keep it together and if I can appear sober, then nobody knows. Everybody knows.
Yeah.
And that was that moment when I realized, oh, everybody knows. Everybody knows that I drink too much. And there are some that think that I have a drinking problem. And what the moment for me was really big was because I knew it, but I hadn't admitted it to myself. I wasn't ready. And when Marty said that, was like, I can't unsee this. Knowing that you see it, I can't not pay attention to it. It was another 3 years before I got sober.
Yeah.
It took me another 3 years, and I tried. Like right after that, I tried, and I was sober for about 6 months and then I fell off the wagon, and it was crushing. And the first time that after I had fallen off the wagon and I saw Marty, it was crushing.
Yeah.
Because it was like, that was a moment I was proud that, okay, I'd seen this in myself. I'm recognizing it. I'm going to try and make a change. And then I failed. And it was almost even in that failure that I was like, I have to try this again. And it wasn't, you know.
Yeah. It
took a long time.
Number of tries.
And a lot of tries. Yeah.
I don't remember when that Manitoba homecoming gig was, but I have to check the tape on it. I think it would have been the same. And I don't know that was necessarily.
It's like kind of hits go on the countdown timer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or it can. I mean, I'm sure there are a lot of people out there who are still struggling and have had those moments. Like, it doesn't mean that it turns things for you, but I think it takes some courage to be that person and say that thing, to shine that light or hold up that mirror, because it's not a fun thing to do. It's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And if you're in that position with somebody where you know that they respect you or you respect one another, it's challenging to rock the boat. It's challenging to do that because it's easier to just skate off and pretend everything's fine, let it roll. But so I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. You know what? I mean, that's pretty heavy stuff. To get to some lighter material, Paul Yee,
Sure.
massive mentor to me. He and we met when we're 10 years apart. So he was 25 and I was 15. And he was one of the first people to treat me not like the son of my father, but just as my own person.
Yeah.
And he was kind of like, at that time we were making tons of music with Dad. So we were Wally's kids, which was cool. And it wasn't a problem. But Paul was the first person to be like, "Hey man, you want to come over and play some music?" And I was like, "But you're 25 and I'm Wally's kid."
Yeah.
But he invited me over to his place on Ethelbert Street, and we struck up a friendship, which is still to this day is a beautiful thing and something I value very much in my life. And but he was in the time when you could still rip someone else's iTunes library into your iPod.
Yes.
So we'd go over to Paul's place we'd empty off our iPods and basically just pirate all of this music.
And we all had the same.
Me,
you, Ariel, Ryan.
Yeah,
Darren,
Darren.
Everybody, we all had the same tunes on we all had the same music library. We were all listening to exactly the same records.
Yeah. It's fun. It was fun. And that was massive. Like I learned a lot about music from him and continue to this day,
Yeah. I have some just amazing memories of being young musicians on the scene and spending at both his places on Ethelbert and then
Portage Avenue.
He had a home studio,
yeah,
where we would all spend a lot of time.
Sublime sonic moment. One of my very first sessions
would have been there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and we after the gig, as young 20 somethings, we would all roll over to Paul's place and spend all night until the sun come up, like eating and laughing and playing music.
Yeah, and Paul is an incredible cook. I've actually learned a lot about cooking from him.
Yes, I'm thrilled about this. I'm thrilled about your new hobby.
Yeah, I'm really loving to cook.
There's a cool question there.
Where?
You know what? Okay, two quick, a serious question and then a joke question. But did you ever get mad at someone who tried to hold up the mirror? Can you click on that one?
Yeah,
it's John Hughes. So we'll go back and forth between heavy and not so heavy, but yes, absolutely. And that's why I think that these people, these mentors in your life are in a special position, because my parents had at this point, they had both commented on my addiction, my alcoholism, my drug abuse, whatever. But it pissed me off to hear it from them, and it made me angry,
mm-hmm.
and it made me push them away. I didn't want to hear it from them.
Mm-hmm.
And I had heard from a number of my friends. I was losing friends at that point. I was losing friends and alienating people that weren't alcoholics or addicts. And I was justifying it in my mind by saying, like, these people don't get it, and they're too square.
Yeah.
And so it's like, it takes these people who hold a very special place in your heart, who you have this kind of reverence, respect for, sometimes to be that perspective. Because I didn't want to hear that from anybody else. I didn't want to hear it from Jake that day.
No.
But I wasn't mad at him. I was embarrassed. I was ashamed.
Yeah.
So yes, I've bitten people's heads off before and continue to. Like, sometimes people challenge me. I don't want to hear it from that person, and so I get choked. But my wife will do that sometimes.
Yeah,
she'll call me on my shit, and I don't want to hear it from her, so I get defensive. And hopefully, I hope that more times than not I come around to it. But I'm sure there are still probably some things that she's challenged me on, and I've been a jerk about and haven't come around to apologize for. And if you're listening at home, love, I am sorry about that.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. I think my default setting is definitely to be defensive. With Anna, for whatever reason, because we communicate in a way that I don't communicate in a lot of my relationships. If she's coming to me with a complaint, it's normally because she's already gone through her emotional process of, this has tweaked me, I'm upset, to, okay, now we need to talk about it. So I've like anytime that she's been like, all right, I got some laundry to air out, by the time it actually gets to me, it's pretty bulletproof.
Yeah.
And so I've actually kind of learned this, like, and I hope that I can carry it forward into my other relationships. But when somebody comes to me and says, hey, like, bonehead move, my default now setting is to go, shit. You know. And that's taken a long time, a really long time to develop. It's
humility.
It's not foolproof though.
Yeah.
It's not like, it's not a rule. But generally speaking, with my wife, by the time she's giving me feedback, I know that it's probably true, and I should just apologize.
You can trust your wife. She
Yes.
knows what's up.
Where did you get those chairs? Is that what you're looking at?
No, go up. There's another question. That one right by Bem Evans. As you appreciate your mentors, click on that one. As you appreciate your mentors, are you deliberately or by proximity being a mentor to others? That's a great question. And I feel like I can't even comment on that for myself. I don't know.
You have to hear from other people.
I think, because
I go through my life because Murray Pulver is another mentor of mine.
Absolutely.
All these, because I go through my life, I live the life that I have now because people have been generous with either what they know, what they've learned, gear, experiences, gigs, and so I'm only here sitting in this very chair on this very day because Murray gave me a gig, because Dan Roy gave me a gig, because Paul recommended me for a gig, or Paul hired me for a session, because Steve Bell called me for a gig. All of these reasons, because Dad liked the way that we played and built a band around having a band with his kids. All of these things were things that were gifted to us. And so I feel this innate responsibility to just share as much as I possibly can.
Yeah.
And so if that results in me kind of playing a mentor role for someone, then very cool. And I'm very proud of that. But I kind of feel like I owe it to the people who shared what they shared with me to share what I've experienced with other people,
Yeah.
So like, generally speaking, if somebody sends me a message like on Instagram or something, or Facebook, I don't respond to my Facebook messages as often because there's just too many things to read. I'm sorry. But if you do want to send me a message, do it on Instagram. As long as somebody is like asking a genuine question, I try to get back.
Yeah.
Because I just feel like I'm only here because this person watches me do my thing on the internet. I do feel a responsibility to share as much as I can, of course, within reason, because I also have to have a life outside of my phone.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I think there's a difference. I'm just figuring that. I'm just thinking about this as we're speaking about it. It's just sort of spurring me to daydream a little bit. But I think there's a difference between teachers and mentors.
Yeah.
And teachers can be teachers can also be mentors, but not necessarily. And I think, the passing of knowledge and the sharing of experience is one thing. But I think when I think about mentors, I think about people who have like a deeper, profound impact. Because you can like a teacher. I think of I've had a lot of teachers in my life, tons of teachers, but not all of them have left that mark.
Yeah.
But some of them have. And so I think, like you, I'd also feel a responsibility to pay it forward. But I think, I don't know. I don't think I'm very curious to talk about this with Steve next week, but I don't think he deliberately set out to be like, I'm going to mentor these guys.
Yeah.
I think he probably was like, I'm going to be generous with my time, my resources, my experience, my criticism, my feedback.
Yeah.
I'm going to be generous.
Yeah.
And because he probably feels a need to pay for it, I'm also really curious to know who some of his mentors have been.
Yeah.
So I think I carry that to heart, and I try within reason. Like I'm also now at a place in my life where, with Finn at home, working on the new record, the new label, I'm so tight for time that I can barely tie my moccasins.
Hey, they're always tied.
These are slippers, actually, and they're from Joe Fresh. They're from the grocery store, and I love them. I really love them. I think they're very comfortable.
Did you know Joe Fresh is actually manufactured by now I'm making this up.
Okay.
Just being an idiot.
That's okay. So am I. What was I on? Oh, you totally derailed me, you bugger.
You started it with talking about grocery store shoes. Don't blame me.
Derail.
Listen, you opened a door, I walked through it. You can't open a door and expect me not to walk through it.
As far as being mentors, I think I try and be generous where I can.
Yeah.
My time is like really tight right now, and I want to have as much time with my family as I can. So I can't be as generous as I once was, but at one time I definitely was making a lot of time to sit down and chat with anybody who had any questions about music business or music or life or whatever. Like some of the younger younger musicians on the scene that were coming up that were curious about stuff. I was trying to be as open and generous as I could be. And I have no idea how that was taken, to be honest.
Yeah. But I think an interesting thing is, and maybe you can confirm or deny this, but if somebody comes up to you and is like, listen to me, kid, I got something to share.
Hell no.
You're generally like, oh, hang on just a second while I leave.
Yeah.
And I think if you're walking into an interaction with somebody with like, I got something to share and I got something to prove, you're missing the point.
Yeah. And you're almost certainly not going to get it.
Because that's never well received. When that has happened to me, when we've had people come up to us and go, love what you do, but you really need to, you go, shh, 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 shh.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Hush,
just like, shut up, stupid shit.
Yeah, that's not how we.
And I think like whenever I'm sharing my information and experience with people, I'm actually really careful to say, this is just my experience.
Yeah.
This is these are ideas that I have and have built based on my own experience. You will have your own, and even when I teach music, this is how I think about things. This is not right or wrong. This is just how I do it.
Yeah.
So if you're coming to me and you want to know how I do it, this is how I do it.
Yeah.
And I think this is a good way to do it. It works for me. But so-and-so across the street is going to do it a different way. Obviously works for them too. So you just I think you just have to be flexible with the receiving and sharing of information.
Agreed.
I can't stand that when people do that.
Preach.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not a great way to share information,
because it's just like
it's oppressive, and
it's not a two-way conversation, and that's the only way that like when like all of these times when we have felt mentored, there's also this mutual respect.
You know what? Every time that I feel like somebody's made an impact like that or left me with something, it's because they were listening first.
Yeah.
Like all these guys that I've talked about, before they were able to drop any wisdom or change my life with the things that they've said, they first listened to what I was going through or where I was.
Yeah.
And cared genuinely and really listened.
And not as a show, like I'm listening so then I can say my piece, but they're actually listening and then reacting. Sebastian Gaskin, our dear buddy Sebi, says, hey, Dave, brush your hair. Just kidding. You are beautiful.
Sebi. Hey, dude. Sebi, happy birthday.
Is it his birthday today?
27th, Feb 27th.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Sebastian. Happy birthday to you and many more.
Hey, everybody. Sebastian Gaskin in the house. I have the distinct pleasure of working on Sebastian's project. Puts out their music on our label.
He's 25. He's calling you.
Oh, you can't call me. My phone's on the thingamajiggy over there. We're Instagram living, so you can't call me on my phone. But Sebi, bless you. It's Mabley's birthday tomorrow. Oh, you know what, Joe? We have to tell Nell and Mabley to go to bed.
Is it time? Ben, is it too early? Like it's probably too early. What time is it in the UK right now?
Oh, Chris bought us fancy coffees.
Oh man, Chris also has one of my favorite comments from earlier. He says, where is it? I don't
know. Keep trolling.
Hiya, gents.
Oh, cute. I get it.
Karate hello.
Oh, I love that. Joey, if you click on the comments, everybody can see them.
Yeah. Quit telling me what to do.
I'm going to backseat drive until you become the driver that I want you to be in this world.
I am literally running every other thing about this. The only thing that you do is click on the comments. It's 9:30 in the UK right now.
7:30.
I'm sorry, it's 7:30 in the UK. Yeah. So here's a fun thing. All of my devices are in 24-hour clock.
So am I.
Because I went through a nasty habit. Mostly actually probably because I was an alcoholic, but I had a nasty habit of setting the wrong alarm.
Yeah.
And setting an alarm to wake up at like 6:30 in the morning to go to the airport, and the alarm going off at 6:30 p.m. So I changed my life over to the 24-hour clock.
Yeah, everybody except for North America is like, duh.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. There are 24 hours in the day. Why do we repeat them?
Yeah, there's 12 times 2. Anyways, yo, Sebi, shout out, big love. You know what? So Karate in the Garage, it's a back and forth between Joe and Dave, the Brothers Landreth. You guys know that. But we also take questions from our wonderful friends, family, and fans. So maybe we'll take some questions and then we'll call it a show.
Heck yes.
Yeah.
This is a really fun one. I really love talking about this with you.
Thanks. I enjoyed talking about this too. I look forward to these in a pretty big way. And Roberta's really helpful. She gives me a lot. She like feeds me stuff. She's like, what about this? What have you guys talked about this?
Oh, that's awesome.
And so I come into these things often with like something that I'm just excited to explore together.
Yeah.
And this has been a really fun one. And I'm sitting here feeling profoundly grateful for these people in my life.
For these people.
For these people too.
Yeah.
Okay, so first let's tell Nell and Madly to go to bed.
Is it bedtime though?
It's not, but it's time for PJs. He's
okay.
Ben, click on Ben's thing. Madly will be 7 tomorrow.
I can't really see because your stupid phone is in the way.
That's okay.
I went through all this trouble so I could read the comments, and then you put your phone in front of it. It's a bit early for bed, but it is time for PJs. So yeah. Hey, Nell and Madly, let's get into our PJs. We call them Jam Jams, Jimmy Jams.
We call them Jays.
Oh, you call them Jays.
Yeah, I like Jimmy Jams. That's
Jimmy
cute.
Jams. That's cute. Jammer Jays.
Nell, Madly. Oh, it's so hard to go to bed because it's your birthday tomorrow, and that's so exciting.
Yeah.
That's really exciting. Oh, and your February 28th. Oh, February 29th is a leap year. Never mind. But happy early birthday, kiddo.
Yeah.
Madly.
Hope you have a great day.
Yeah. But go to bed. Seriously, though. Even if it's your birthday tomorrow, doesn't mean you get to stay up late. You can stay up late tomorrow. Actually, Dave and Joe say that you can stay up late tomorrow. And you can tell. And
you can tell your mom and dad that the Canadians said it's okay.
That's okay. Yeah. You can stay up as late as you want tomorrow and eat chocolate chips all day long.
Oh, we got somebody joining us from Indonesia. It's 2:30 in the morning. Oh my goodness.
Okay, we're taking questions.
Okay.
Sebastian Gaskin has one. What do you guys think of VSTs like Bias FX 2 versus outboard gear? Joy, I limit you to 90 seconds of pure geek talk so that we don't lose everybody in the house.
I'm not familiar with Bias FX 2, but I have had the distinct pleasure of using some really, 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 really great plugins, some DSP based plugins. I guess you're not asking about DSP plugs, but there's so many great plugins out there. Nothing to me is better than the real thing. There's just a magical thing that happens. That said, it doesn't need to be outboard gear for it to be a killer recording. So I think it's just like when you hear analog gear on a track, you're just like, oh man, that's killer. So there's something that you do get by using outboard gear, but I think it's like
dare I say it's diminishing returns? If you can spend $150 on a plugin that would cost you $10,000,
you're not going to find a plugin that's going to be better than the real thing. I don't think, in my opinion, and I have limited experience. That's just and I love that, like the UAD plugins are amazing. Yep. But when you plug into a real 1073 or a real LA2A or something like that, I mean, actually, not that I've ever used a real one, just versions of them, other people's versions of them, clones. It to my ear is better. Can you still make a killer master track with no outboard gear? Absolutely. People do 100%. It all the time. And so I don't think you need any of that stuff.
Okay.
It's if you got the money and you're super rich and you can afford 8 channels of 1073s, frig yeah.
And time.
There you go.
Let's switch over to Instagram for a second.
Okay. Somebody was asking about these chairs though. These chairs are important.
Let's go back and forth. Let's get some Instagram love.
Fine.
We've been ignoring them.
Sorry, Instagram.
How do you find that balance between giving of yourselves to your fans and also maintaining your space/peace? That's from Avery, I think.
That's a really great question. Yeah. It's a thoughtful question. I think, you just have to listen to your heart, trust your gut, and when you need a little bit of alone time. I haven't been really active on social media lately just because we've been so focused on the record, and obviously I'm very focused on just being at home and spending time with Anna and getting ready for baby time and really enjoying that, and not finding myself really wanting to participate in social media right now. I really like social media. I really enjoy doing it. I love connecting with fans. But right now I'm just on a bit of a break, and that's just because it feels good. It feels good to just be at home and present. And, I'm still looking at my phone more than I should, though. But you just kind of trust you can follow your gut. That's everything. Follow your gut.
Yeah. I think in this last year and change with the pandemic, it's been easier than ever. It's hard when we're traveling a lot, and night after night, you start to fatigue a little bit. But I think what helps me find that balance is always remembering that we are because you allow us to be. That's kind of my mantra when it comes to like our career in music. Like, we don't get to have a career in music without you. And I mean, like, literally you folks that are like tuning in and hanging out with us on the internet, but I mean everybody. It comes to shows, stream songs, like. So
yeah, we don't get to do what we do without folks doing that. But
I do,
but you also can't give too much, right?
You can't give too much.
Like, you're not allowed to tell me what to wear. That's too much for me.
Like a fan.
If somebody's like, I think you should wear some purple pants tomorrow, I'm like,
You got boundaries.
I got boundaries.
I have boundaries too, and sometimes they're challenged, but very rarely.
Yeah.
For the most part, our fans are really generous, or giving, are considerate,
very, very considerate, very respectful,
patient.
I think I can count on one hand how many times I've had to be like, hey, can you maybe give me a bit of space?
Yeah.
Literally on one hand, maybe even just on a couple fingers.
Yeah. So yeah, it's maybe a little tough when we're on the road. This year, obviously, it's really been up to us because we're the ones deciding when we want. And I think this is a big part of it. This thing that we've been doing on Saturdays has been our way of staying in touch with our people.
Yeah.
And it's really satisfying and really fun and interesting. And
yeah.
So great question.
Enrique Guadarrama says SSL or Neve, and I say both, baby.
Okay. Did you click on the question?
I didn't click on it. Dang.
Go up. There's another question. There's another question there. So is SSL or Neve? Joey says both.
Both.
Okay, go up. There's another question I wanted to answer up there a little further. Keep going. That one. M. McNeil. Hello, good sirs. Loving the chats. Thank you. Can't wait for some new material. Any thoughts of an Undercover Bros Volume 2 down the line? Wouldn't mind hearing a Waits cover from Davey. Thanks for the tunes. I love that idea, and I love Tom Waits. Yeah, I think safe to say that we will do that again.
I'd rather have a bottle in front of me than a frontal lobotomy.
Yeah, nice. I think we will definitely do another cover record. Oh, fantastic.
Dave's been in his late 50s since his early 20s.
You got to read the question. It says Hillary James Chase says,
how does Dave stay so good looking in spite of being in his late 50s?
And that made us chuckle.
For the folks listening to the podcast at home.
Not a day over 50, though. Not a day over 50.
Hey, this is cool, actually. M. McNeil is saying, how about the Heart of Saturday Night? You've actually sang that band.
It
sang that song.
Heard Heart of Saturday Night in Tonder. Tuna.
Oh,
Deadly Gem.
Oh,
yeah, we did.
Okay, that's why I was just going to say we played that at a festival in Denmark.
That was so fun. Okay, so let's
looking for the Heart of Saturday Night.
Oh, I love that song.
It's a good song.
We did a really cool workshop at this festival that we really love in a country that we really adore.
Yes.
Tuna Festival is in Denmark, and it's a folk festival.
We're definitely saying that wrong, but that's as close as our Canadian mouths can
doing the
get.
Best we can.
Yeah.
Better than Tonder.
Yeah.
Which is not even remotely. That's how you spell it, but.
Well, not if you're from Denmark.
Yeah. Anyways, we did this really cool workshop, and it was a big production. It was really fun. The theme was
let's spend the night.
Let's spend the night. So it was us, the Lone Bellow.
Yeah.
David Ramirez.
No, David Ramirez wasn't a part of it. David Ramirez just crashed
the
it.
party.
It was awesome.
Oh, it was so fun. So they set up the stage with a talk show.
Yeah.
Like, it had couches everywhere, and then there was just instruments everywhere. Oh, it was Darlingside.
Yes. Yeah.
Who sent me a postcard, Joe? They sent me a postcard.
Oh, nice. They didn't send me a postcard.
They don't have your address.
I'm the lead singer of the band.
Yeah.
I'm the lead singist. It's okay. I don't care.
So they had, so we had to do songs about nighttime. And I don't remember all the songs we did, but we worked up a version of Heart of Saturday Night.
We also worked up a version of
One of These Nights.
One of These Nights
by the Eagles.
Yeah.
That
What
was a
else? Oh,
blast.
Such a Night.
Oh, that was really fun too.
Yeah.
You know what? 3 for 3, those songs I would play again.
Hell yeah.
I would absolutely play again.
12 out of 10 would play again.
It was so fun because you've all probably experienced workshops at festivals at some point. If you haven't, it's a really, really wonderful thing. But this was like extra fun because it was like a variety show, but David Ramirez showed up.
Just showed up out of nowhere, smoking on stage.
Smoking cigarettes
awesome.
On stage. And I'm a huge David
really
Ramirez
big fan.
Yeah. And he showed up and FaceTime his mom or something.
Yeah.
And the crowd went nuts.
It was her birthday or something, maybe?
Yeah.
Or I don't know. It was so beautiful.
It was a wonderful time, man.
Hey, Jeffrey Kavanaugh, we just sent your pedal back to you.
Yes, Jeff.
It's on its way.
Absolutely. Oh, Sundown. That's a killer track.
Yeah.
That's a great idea.
Let's look at Instagram here. We got to figure out a way to get some split screen action one of these days. One of these nights. One of these crazy, crazy nights.
Oh. James Einerson says,
Hey,
you've both played with some incredible drummers. What do you look for when hiring a drummer?
Oh man, wicked question. Yeah, we really have had some wonderful drummers.
Unbelievable.
Time is really important.
Yeah,
time is important.
Having a good sense of meter.
Yeah, honestly though, before all of those things, just being fun to be around.
Yep.
You know, you really we just got to be able to have a good time. We've talked about this before, but like the truth is you spend 23 hours of the day on the road with people, and you spend 22 and a half hours of the day on the road with people, and 90 minutes on stage if you're lucky.
Yeah.
You know, so obviously like you have to play at
there's a certain level.
At a certain level, yeah.
Like you must be this tall to
your time has to be better than mine.
Yeah. I'd say so too. And because everybody's responsible for time in the orchestra.
Yeah.
But the reality is that both you and I have a tendency to lean on drummers.
Yeah. So we need somebody who can kind of stick a peg in the ground and hold it down.
And we sit on opposite sides of the spectrum. I sit way back. I play behind.
Don't say I play way on top. That's not fair. You don't play
way on top, but you have a tendency to sit a little closer to the front of the beat than I do. So somebody who can. Oh, Ben Kirkham says Shatner. Somebody who can play directly between us in terms of the groove.
Sebastian Gaskin also says Dave used Silver Fox.
Thanks, Sebby.
I just hear that in kind of a use Silver Fox you.
Oh, and McNeil, just so you know, I didn't click on the question because it was on Instagram and there was no option to click on the question on Instagram. So still the boss. Yeah. So
you're not the boss of me.
The game that we play is if we've adopted this. I've decided that we've adopted this. I'm making a unilateral decision here. When somebody says Shatner in the comments, you have to just stop what you're doing and respond in Shatner voice.
Speaking of beautiful drummers that have played with us, Michael Carbone in the house.
Hey, Mike.
Mikey is such a beautiful and empathetic drummer. His ears are huge. Like I love watching videos back when we play with Mikey because his eyes are glued on you. Yeah.
So focused.
It's so fun to play with Michael Carbone.
Sebastian Gaskin is just Shatner Joey. Okay, let's say you can only be Shatnered once we can each be Shatnered once during an episode. So
you're all of a sudden being one of those kids it's not fun to hang out with because you just keep changing the rules.
Yeah, well, that's a new rule. So.
Brett Schultz, hey man, I got your email. I will email you back. I apologize that I haven't gotten back to you yet. You sit on top of the bait. Cold, man, cold. You know, I resent you.
Clear the questions off the screen, Joe.
How?
Just click on one and then unclick. There you go. Yeah, drummers. I'm very passionate about drummers, obviously, because
you secretively want to be one.
No, I never don't want that carry that much gear, but I just feel like so much about my experience on stage is dictated by the drummer on stage with us.
Yeah. And
so much of my job as a musician in our band, I like me and the drummer are making we are like propelling a lot of this stuff. And I feel like I need to be able to have a certain connection with somebody on stage to do that.
Yeah.
So I'm very picky about the drummers we play with.
Hey, here's one.
Yeah.
Did you co-write any of the songs on the new Ariel Posen record?
I wish I did. I did not.
You did not. You co-wrote some on the last one though.
Yeah.
Yep.
Did I get a couple, one or two songs on the last one?
I think 2.
Yeah. Ariel and I have written on his last record, his new one. I love his new single.
Yeah, it's really nice.
It's really awesome.
It's really good. I'm really excited about this record. Actually, I can't wait to hear the whole thing.
Yes,
the new record.
Me too.
Okay,
Me too.
Edwin has very patiently. He's
okay.
asked about the chairs.
Go ahead.
So these chairs. So I actually have a tattoo on this arm of one of these chairs, and these chairs were the first thing that Anna and I bought for our apartment when we moved back to Winnipeg from Toronto.
Yeah,
and Anna had taken a photo of one of our cats in one of the chairs that was just kind of became this like kind of beacon, this homecoming beacon thing for me. And it meant a lot. And it just reminded me of home. And there was something about the chairs that just like made me feel like we bought because they're not super expensive, but they weren't cheap. They weren't like $30 at a garage sale. They were like $400. I think they were $400 for the pair of them. And it was the most I'd ever spent on furniture. And, and it was just kind of like, we're buying these chairs. We're staying here.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
And kind of anchored you a little
bit. They kind of anchored me. Yeah. And so they mean a lot. And then when I moved the studio out of the apartment, I was like, obviously the chairs have to stay. And Anna was like, no, take them. I don't care.
Your wife is incredibly practical.
She's very practical.
She's got no time for your shit.
I'm just like, I have a tattoo of this chair and you don't care. You don't care. Is that a mystical clon? It is not. It's a Chariotone. I can't remember what he calls them. Centura.
Is it something over your head? Is that what they're seeing? What are they talking about?
Oh, are you talking about this? It's big and orange. This is also not a clone. This is one of the new Warm Audio pedals. This is the Foxy Tone Box, and it's actually really awesome.
Cool.
Yeah,
it's
great. Not meant to go on the ground. It's meant to go on top of your amp, which is cool looking, slightly impractical, but that's fine.
Yeah,
I think you can still put it on the ground, and that's fine. But it's a killer sounding pedal.
Yeah. Why don't we take one more question and then wrap it up?
Okay.
Okay. So it's up to you guys. Hit us with a really heavy hitting question.
Oh, I just want to answer this too. Edwin, I got these chairs from a pal of ours who runs a kind of vintage shop and he's on Instagram called the Shoestring Picker. Yeah. Shoestring Picker. And he's just got so much fun stuff. And we found these, and Sebby wants to know if you love him, Dave.
Yes, I do. Doesn't count as a question though.
What?
Obviously, I love you.
Yeah.
What is the sweetest karate move you've picked up so far in the garage?
Easy, this one.
Don't karate chop me.
Oh, here, you know what? Here's one.
Okay.
Someday, when the world can do shows again, are you ever going to do any kind of proper American tour? Good question. It's hard to tour the U.S. proper because it's
big.
It's massive, and we have a handful of really, really great cities, great markets that we do really well in. But it's really hard to go on a whole American tour because we can't make money in every city, and it's tough to do. So,
and we don't like being out for
much longer than 3 weeks at a time.
That it would take to like do a full American tour, or even just a big chunk, is longer than we like to be out.
We will definitely come back through the U.S. and we'll likely do a rip through all the regions, but for us to actually do like a top to bottom American tour, that's probably not in the cards for us.
No, I doubt it. And it's also like
unless we get a really killer opportunity opening for somebody really big, but on our own, it's not really actually feasible.
No.
Yeah.
But there will be American shows. Again, Noise from Ryan's Basin says, "I'll drive the bus and tech for you. If you have a bus, let's talk.
Let's talk."
Alex's daughter is waving her heart out at the screen saying hi.
Oh, hi Nora. How you doing, sweetheart? I miss you.
Luke says, can you click on Luke's comment? He says, Luke, that counts out Australia out. Sad. No, hardly. We're actually really excited to come back to Australia. And we're hoping to come back with this new record. So I'm not sure when, and there's obviously the world is upended at the moment.
We've got a long way to go before we can actually put dates on calendars, but absolutely,
No,
Australia.
yeah, we're really excited to get back to
Australia is definitely on the list of things to do.
What else we got in there?
Yeah, we want to come back and do Byron Bay Blues Fest so bad.
I didn't get ripped off. I didn't get a chance to see it.
Yeah.
And yes, some Alexander saying come back to Austin. Hell yeah, I want to get back to Austin.
Yeah.
Joey, question from Kelly on Instagram.
Okay.
What albums are you both currently loving? Loving, and maybe this is our last question.
Okay. So I go through these phases, but like when we're making records, I just can't. I have no room for music in my head. It's like,
yeah,
everything we're focused on. We're listening so intently to sound, so intently to parts. We're creating so much. Like the creative energy by the time I get home is so depleted. And the same is true when we're on the road, which is basically makes up for 100% of the year. So I don't listen to a lot of music. That said, I have absolutely loved the sort of 4-part Jacob Collier record. It's just such an adventure to listen to. And I really like I think it's the Jesse Volume 3 where he does all the collaborations with Daniel Caesar and that I really enjoyed that. The last Ethan Gruska record, Event, I think it's called Event Horizon, or is that just the title track or the first track on the record? I can't remember. It's called On Guard. That is gorgeous. Unbelievably beautiful record.
Yes.
So Jacob Collier, Ethan Gruska, the last Liana Lahavas record, I really, really loved and listened to a whole lot. But it's pretty limited, and I really love to listen to like a lot of classical music and stuff. So I like Bach, and I like Debussy, and I like Strauss. Been getting into Strauss because Jake told me to listen to some Strauss.
Cool.
Yeah.
I'm also not listening to a ton of new music.
Arvo Pärt, or Pert, however you say that. I like him too.
Cool.
Also because Jake told me to.
Do what you're told. I listen to the most amount of music when we're on the road, when we're traveling.
Yeah, right.
Because I get car sick and I can't work when I'm in the van. So the only thing I can do is listen to music, and I love it. And that's when I do all my music listening.
30-year-old Winnipeg man plays in band, gets car sick.
Yeah, it's pretty weak. And
Shelby Lynn. Yeah, that record is great. The one with record, yeah. Somebody just mentioned Shelby Lynn. Yeah, absolutely.
Love Shelby Lynn. That one specific record. I'm not crazy about all of it.
The whole record?
No, about all of her discography. There's a couple of records that I really enjoy, and then other stuff that's not for me. I keep coming back to, in the rare moments that I listen to music these days. The other thing is I can't listen to music while I work on business stuff.
Me neither.
I can't split my brain like that. I can't write with lyrics in the background. It just engages my brain in a funny way. So, but the record that I keep coming back to this year and has just made such an imprint on me is the Nathaniel Rateliff record.
Oh yeah,
it's so lush and beautiful.
That's really
beautiful. I love the songs. I love the writing on it. I love the production. It's so rich.
So
gorgeous.
At the beginning of the pandemic, he did like a live stream concert thing, and he played one of the tunes off of it and broke down in the middle of it, and it was like easily one of the most beautiful things I had seen in a long time.
No way.
Just it was so honest and raw and gorgeous and
heavy.
Yeah, humans being humans. It's a cool thing.
Yeah, I can relate to that.
Yeah. Man, I think that's time for us.
That's time.
I think that's time.
What do we do when it's time? We play our theme song.
We play our theme song.
Joe, it's been a blast.
Dave, it's been a blast. Hey, listen. I love you.
I love you too. And all you, thank you so much for being here and hanging out with us. We appreciate it so much.
Heck yeah.
And thanks for sticking with us on this wonderful journey of the Bros Landreth and all the music that we make. We're thinking about you.
Absolutely.
We care about you.
We hope you're doing well and you're safe and you're healthy and you're going to be okay.
Looking out after each other.
Mm-hmm. We'll see you next week with our special guest Steve Bell. Unless my wife has a baby, then I won't maybe see you ever. No, that's not true. But we'll definitely take a break if and when the baby gets here.
Yeah.
Well, the baby will get here. It's just a matter of when. But if the baby comes before next week, we might
be here next week. We'll
we might be here next week. We'll keep you posted.
There it is.
There it is. Thanks, everybody. Be good. Uh-oh.
Force me.
How do I end this? End it. Bye, everybody.